Good afternoon on this beautiful sunshine day. I would like to ask Deb to come forward to do our invocation, pledge, and four-way test.
Thank you. Guess I'll lower this a little.
Good afternoon. In honor of Indigenous Peoples Day, I offer up a Lakota prayer. Creator, teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit. Teach me to trust these things so that I may enter my sacred space and love beyond my fear, and thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. And the four-way test of all the things we think, say, and do.
Thank you, Deb. Now I will ask Brianna to come up and introduce our guest and visiting Rotarians.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. It's always a pleasure to be with you each Monday. We have some guests here. Kathy Sears has two guests with us. Rudy Yakum. Welcome. And Griffin Nate. John Hunsberger has Daniel Gonzalez. And I am just extremely excited to share my guest today, Lois Mason. Lois is the second employee for Tolson, and she is the executive assistant. Ashley Bowen has Leighton Weddle. Did I say that correct? Yes. Welcome. And our longtime guest resident of Scott Puckett, Andrew Osmond.
Kathy's guest will be available after the meeting if anybody would like to meet with him, has questions for him. We didn't have time for him to speak before the election, so if anybody wants to speak with him, he'll be over here at the bar after the meeting. The second thing today is last week during our meeting, Jim got a little excited, jumped up. We have a policy and procedure when it comes to giving away our sergeant fines. So Jim Story, can I get you to come here for a second? First of all, happy birthday. Second of all, I've got to check. Typically, on average, we average about $288 a week in sergeant fines. Last week, after Jim jumped up, we ended up collecting $1,160. I will put it to vote this Friday in front of the board to see if we can use those funds. I've cut a check for $300 to cover the sergeant fines that we gave away last week, so Jim won't get in trouble.
Okay, so I'm a grown ass adult and no one needs to apologize for me, right? However, thank you for taking the brunt of this. You didn't have to, but that's what a good leader does. So thanks, Tom.
Well, if anybody has announcements, I will ask you at this time to come forward.
Julie, let me go before you. I'm having trouble looking at that. Last call for the placemat advertising. I wanted to close it up in June. I wanted to close it up in July, August, September. Now it's October and I'm going to do it. This morning I went in to work on it and I didn't even get the drawer open. So I've been busy doing other stuff. But anyway, if you want to put an ad in for the placemat, all the money goes to Interact. It's $325 and it's used in every Rotary meeting, as you can see. And so please, Tony is my name at dwincorp.com is my email. So thank you. Okay.
We have another birthday to celebrate today. I'm sure that he doesn't want to be telling us his age, but the very famous retired judge, Jim Rickoff, is celebrating a birthday Thursday. So happy birthday, Jim.
No, we're not a club that sings, but I feel like a song is in order. Well, hi everyone, Julie here, and guess what time it is?
Halloween.
Not yet, but it's coming soon. So I just want to remind you that we are gathering together, not here on Halloween, our 5th Monday. We're going to gather at our place on Main. And I'm just sampling some of the costumes that are just hanging in my closet. If any of you would like to join me, as we're just like parading them out, because there will be a costume contest. Costumes are suggested but not required. It's all in good fun. And I'm still looking for those celebrity judges that would like to reign supreme as far as deciding whose costume will win. So be sure, if you haven't signed up yet, there's a sign-up sheet over there. Also, Ethos, we are off-site next week. We will not be in this building. So if you come here, you'll just have to keep driving a little bit down the road over to Ethos Innovation Center. And we need to get a head count for the Matterhorn folks because they are providing a box lunch for us. Make sure if you have not responded to the email I sent today that you sign out here if you are attending. You don't have to let me know if you're not coming, but just let me know for sure that you are coming so we can have some food ready for you there and get ready to be outlandish, out of the box. We're going to go and do some fun things during our lunch. We're very excited. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I think a lot of us last week were shaken to the core by the presentation. And I applaud what you did, Jim. Thank you. This is my last meeting before I head west for the winter. And I've been thinking about what can we do as Rotarians here in our own backyard. Last Thursday, I went into EGH for bone scan, and in the dressing rooms for the women, there is a sign in there that says, "Stop. No one should be beaten or abused." And it tells how a woman who might be in that situation can get help. And what I'd like to work on is working with our sister clubs in the county to come up with an action plan, putting signs like that and stickers in the stalls and public women's restrooms around our county, if they are in that situation, a way that they can be helped. So I got permission from Todd to talk about this since I won't be here, and I will be submitting that proposal to the board. Thank you.
I have an update for the caring committee. We will be meeting October 24th at 11:15 a.m. Earlier, I sent a message saying 11:30, but it has been changed to 11:15 next week, or excuse me, October 24th, right here.
Upcoming programs, as Julia mentioned, next week we will be at Ethos. Sign-up sheet is up front. October 24th, we have the Starfish Project. And then October 31st is the Halloween, $20 a person. Please pre-register so we know what hors d'oeuvres and drinks we have to bring. Concord Club will be meeting back at Martin's starting this week. So if anybody plans to visit, they will be back at Martin's. That brings us to our Sergeant of Arms today, and that is none other than Charmaine Torma.
Hi, everyone. So it's Monday, and for those of you who don't remember who I am, newbie Rotarian to the ELKR Noon Rotary Club, but not new to Rotary. This is my second time serving as sergeant. Thank you so much, Eric, again for telling me, volunteering me to do this. As I said, Mondays are rough. And I'm so not prepared to be sergeant today because before this job, I did people on Monday. And you guys decided to do a Rotary Club meeting on a Monday. Like I do people on Monday. So driving in today, I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Because my job today is to warm us up for the chief to talk today. By the way, my name is Charlotte Tomas. Okay. So in regards to raising money for the foundation, we did a great job last week, and I want to make sure we can continue doing that. And because it's really hard for me to get up and people on Monday, those of you who clapped and encouraged me to come to the podium, thank you. Those of you who did not, please give $1. I'm not joking. Remember, it's for our community. So I joined end of May in this club, and since that time, I've been very, very impressed how we've been welcoming new Rotarians. Anyone who has joined since June, could you please stand up? Smile, turn around. Keep standing. I apologize to those of you who are standing as new Rotarians because I'm pretty sure, except for one of you, I've had a meaningful conversation. So because of that, Mondays are hard. Did I mention that? So that's why I haven't had a meaningful conversation with you here, but I will do my best to try and have a meaningful conversation with each of you moving forward. For those of you sitting, how many of you have had a meaningful conversation with each of these Rotarians? If you have not, for each of them, you are putting in $1. Has anyone maxed out yet? Maxing out $5. Okay. Has anyone talked to every single one of those new Rotarians who were standing up? Did anyone talk to 4 of those Rotarians? 3? Did you not remember who they were? Yes. Great. So then you're the Rotarian we're going to try and emulate. Thank you. Okay, so when I was in another Rotary Club, one of the things that we did to raise money was Happy Bucks, and I believe we talked about that last time. So I'm a person who doesn't ask for permission, Todd. I don't even ask for forgiveness because I'm pretty sure I'm always right. So I want to institute doing Happy Bucks. So does anyone have something that they want to share that's happy? And I'm happy to go first. I am happy because this weekend, when I had the people with my family, son, daughter, husband, my son was in a band competition and they qualified for regionals. So I will be giving $1 for that, which if anyone was counting, I'm already over my $5. But because I want to try and beat last week's record, I'm going to keep going. Do we have anyone at all who's got happy announcements? I have happy news. I will be in the learner's little house on the prairie starting Friday. Everybody wants to come out and
And we watched 2 family vacation movies, the European family vacation and the Las Vegas family vacation. My son likes to hit me, he's laughing, so I start pleasing. He told me that so happy to present the news.
thank you for your happy box.
Happy because on Wednesday we go on vacation and we're going to be staying in the Great Sand Hotel We stayed at, during our honeymoon, 47 years ago.
From Gainesville, Florida, from the family, my grandson is a gator. And gator being in the zoo. So that's. Thank you.
I'm happy because my grandson just beginning his sophomore year at Butler University is the #1 trumpet in the orchestra that only has one other trumpet.
Any other happy bucks? Okay, yes.
Who paid the dollar for him to announce the song of Doug Butler, who fell and cracked his shell. Doug is our oldest living member of this club. He's being transferred back to Goshen.
Thank you.
We don't have to talk to New Banks, you got to regain with them.
Thank you so much. And my final happy buck is that I am done as sergeant and I'm not scheduled for a very, very, very long time. So,
And now I'd like to ask Tom to come up and introduce our guests for today.
Never mind that. This was the try. No. Tony Warning, you still there?
No.
You're parked in front of a fire plug outside. The chief has already written you a ticket. Last month, we learned how a local hospital formed its own police department. And today we will learn how and why a local school system formed their own police department. Chief John Riddle is a second-generation police officer. He served 29 years with the South Bend Police Department, 15 of those years as a sergeant working the street as a supervisor. John served on the Police Honor Guard and as a field training officer for new recruits, and worked undercover for 3 years as a narcotics investigator. John has been married 30 years, has 2 sons, 23 and 26 years old. He refereed high school football from 2014 through 2019. John was recently appointed Chief of Police of the Concord School Police Department. Please welcome Chief John Riddle.
Thank you very much. This is my first public speaking, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time. CCSPD, better known as Concord Community Schools Police Department. I had a picture I brought, but no big deal. So I have been with the Concord Police Department for a little over a year now. And during the course of the year, there were some pretty big changes within our police department. I came on with an officer named Darren Tucker and the former chief, Chief Nick Minder, who maybe some of you might know. He's pretty well known in the Concord community. I was brought on as a police officer, and I currently work K through 6, so I get the little ones. And so we're going through the course of the year, and about midway through the year, Officer Tucker decided to go into the private sector and took a job with Lippert in the management program. So mid-year, Officer Tucker leaves, and then 3 months later, Chief Minder comes to me and says, "I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid, John. I'm resigning and I'm leaving the department." So he went on to work at one of the Grand Design up in Middlebury, I believe. I'm still learning the area. I'm from South Bend. So he's leaving, and I had been there for less than a year. Although I do have some police experience, I knew that I loved the job. And right before he walked out the doors, he said, "If you're interested, I know Dan Funston, the superintendent, really enjoys what you're doing so far. He respects your resume, and if you would want to consider taking the chief spot, then you could definitely have that conversation with him." So this all is taking place during the course of one day and an 8-hour shift, by the way. And so I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this is supposed to be my retirement job. I love being K through 6. I come to work, I play basketball. I'm all-time quarterback in the playground, and I absolutely love the little ones. And do I really want to take on this responsibility? Well, I called my boss, who's my wife of 30 years, and I said, "Well, honey, now Nick's leaving." She already knew Tucker was leaving. And she's like, I'm like, "Now Mr. Funston's interested in me becoming chief." And her exact words were, "I have to work all summer. You do whatever you want." So I took that to heart, and I thought about it for a few more minutes and walked across the street to the Ed Center, had a good conversation with Mr. Funston, and here I am. I am now the chief of police for Concord Schools. So then I had the responsibility of bringing on 2 new police officers for Concord. So that was my first task. And right now, as we speak, we're now back up to 3 police officers for the police department. And that's usually what the standard is for Concord. I'll touch on a little bit of that in a little bit. Eric Schumann, he works the high school. He is a 10-year veteran of the Elkhart County Sheriff's Department. He is a 10-year veteran of the Elkhart Sheriff's Department. He worked 7 years on the street, 3 years in DB doing cases for the Detective Bureau. He was also an evidence tech for the Detective Bureau while he was working for them. So I brought him on. He's been here about 3 or 4 months. He is doing a great job at the high school. He's already making great relationships with the kids at the high school. He's the youngest of the 3 of us, and his motor is always going, and I appreciate his efforts. So Eric's at the high school. So then I went on another recruiting tour, and I sought out as many people as I could for this position, because I knew since I was chief, I wasn't going to give up my K through 6 because I love my little ones, and I was going to stay with the little ones. So I needed somebody for the middle school. After a long search, I went back to my grassroots in South Bend, and I picked up Al Belinsky, who is a 27-year veteran of the South Bend Police Department. He is a 3rd generation police officer, 17 years as a SWAT member, 3 years of, he was also a DA liaison for the drug unit that I was in during my time at South Bend. And he's also a field training officer. So those are my 3 officers, well, my 2 officers, including myself, that are now part of CCSPD, and I'm looking forward to the future. So going back to the start of CCSPD, it started in 2017, and the former chief that I had mentioned, Nick Minder, and Darren Tucker were I guess you can say, the founding fathers of this little police department. They literally built it from the ground up, and without boring you with details, to put together a police department, even if it's connected with a school corporation, after looking at the mounds of paperwork after Nick left, it was incredible to see the time and energy that he did to put together this police department. and did an outstanding job. So I'm basically just here to carry on the torch and do the best I can. The department is funded partially by a grant every year that is given out by other school districts. And there was just recently a news article in the ELKR Truth regarding the grant that was given out to the different school corporations that have policemen in them, or SROs. So we're kind of funded a little bit by them. That's a huge part of our funding, along with the contributions that the school district puts in. Kind of a neat fact that I recently looked up while I've been chief. There's 13 other school districts in the state of Indiana that have their own police department, and but to kind of brag about what we have here at Concord. And one that I absolutely love is Concord is the only school district in the state of Indiana that has 3 full-time police officers. The rest of the 13 jurisdictions or school corporations only have 1. And Concord, they really are concerned, or not concerned, but they're at the forefront of keeping kids safe in our schools, especially the times that we live in. Concord, or the CCSPD, also has an agreement with the sheriff, who I've met a few times. Nick introduced me to him. Great sheriff, great guy. We have an agreement with him. It's called an MOU, which normally school corporation police departments usually have while they work within a county such as ELKR County. And that's how we have an agreement. With this agreement, we're allowed to carry out police functions if we were to need to, like, run radar on an adjacent street by the schools or what have you, or to actually work within his county. Which also brings me to the next point, which I've somewhat already informed you about. All 3 of us are still active police officers in the state of Indiana. We're still certified. We still have police powers, arresting powers, and such. And between the 3 of us, more so for me and Al, we have 70 years of police experience. We're also all certified by the National Association of School Resource Officers, better known as NASRO. It's a great organization. They certify all the SROs for police departments, school police departments within actually nationwide, but they have a great chapter for Indiana when it comes to training and resources like of such. Along with their teachings, we go by three pillars of education when it comes to a police officer working in the school setting. And those 3 pillars are: we want to be a law counselor, we want to be a law educator, and then lastly, we want to be a law officer. And I tell the kids, now that I've gone through almost a portion of an entire school year, I've spoken to every class there is, from more so junior high to high school. I have other little conversations I have with my little one. We really stand by those 3 pillars, and we take the counselor portion of it pretty seriously, because if we come into contact with a student, whether it is a possible criminal thing that may have happened to them or what they have done, we work hand in hand with the school administration, and we kind of come at it as a double prong approach, where we try to support this student, we try to counsel them, and then my normal talk with a student that's come into contact with us, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, more so bad. I tell that student, this is not, whatever happened today is not going to define you. We want you to succeed. We want you to graduate and we want to see you walk across that stage and get your diploma from Concord. And then lastly, with that, the law officer, you know, if we have to step, and this is what I tell the kids, if we have to step into that law enforcement arena, then we will do so, and we'll still be fair. We'll still be conscious of what it may have happened, and still try and be that counselor and educator. But we will have, if we have to, we'll have to step into that law enforcement ring and arena and deal with what's going on with that student. First and foremost, our mission statement, if you would, is to keep kids safe. And I'm sure it's something that goes unsaid or doesn't really have to be said with the climate and the world that we live in. And as chief, that's my number one priority. And I know I have two other officers that will go to great lengths to keep our kids safe and do whatever we have to do to keep kids safe. Secondly, building relationships with the kids. And I got to tell you, I was by myself in the district last year when Officer Tucker and Chief Minder, you know, went onto their new jobs. So I was basically by myself in the district, going from one school to another, wherever needed, putting out fires here and there. But I really got to experience how easily it is to build a relationship with these students, and how eager these students are to have relationships with the police department or police officer. Even if those kids, and I can speak for experience, even if those kids have had bad experiences in the community with the police, however that may have happened, it's unbelievable how quickly, and the high fives and the selfies and the "you're my favorite police officer," how quickly those conversations come to, and how quickly you hear these things coming from the kids as you work in the schools. And it's just an absolute joy to be doing this job at Concord. Some of the duties that we do, I've kind of touched on a little bit already. Obviously, we investigate any type of crimes that might happen. I know that probably a lot of you here remember the days of, and along with myself, when I went with my dad. I know there's somebody here that's from South Bend that remember the old DARE days, and I can't remember the zoo on Ewing Street now. Just there was a specific park in South Go-Bend, and the DARE program back in the 70s or what have you built this little town, and they had go-karts back then. And my dad would take me over there to the DARE officers, and we'd drive around this little neighborhood in this little pretend they had McDonald's and everything. Anyway, I got off track, sorry. I'm a very unformal speaker. Anyway, going back to those days, it's a little bit different now, and we don't really have a criteria like DARE did back in the day, when we go in there every day into a class and speak about A, B, and C. NASRO kind of encourages to go into the classrooms and just have basic conversations. And along with the things that we deal with right now, digital citizenship, which is, I ask the kids to be good citizens when it comes to their laptops and their personal computers and their phones. We kind of go into that arena with teaching kids about that, teaching kids about staying safe. Now we have vaping and everything else that goes in with the vaping and the dangers of. So yeah, I went off on a tangent, didn't I? So yeah, we conduct, like I said, criminal investigations. We also do canine searches in the parking lots and in the classroom, classrooms, because we have hardly used lockers anymore, which was kind of weird to me when I first got there. I don't use lockers, and oh well, it's something I'm learning with the new job. Another thing that I've kind of started now, was we now give out, it's called an Outstanding Citizenship Award, and we've given out 2 so far. And it's an award that I really don't want to, just hand out type of thing. One of the, and I guess I can, well, as long as I don't say the name, because I'm still learning what you can and can't say when it comes to school kids and stuff like that. But one of the first kids that got one of these Outstanding Citizenship Awards was at the junior high, and we had a fight in the hallway. And instead of breaking out his phone and starting the videotape, which is a thing, this kid actually kind of did his best to break it up and kind of hugged the kid and kind of just throw him to the ground and stepped in and really helped us out before Officer Dolitsky got there. So he was our first award winner for our Outstanding Citizenship Award. And what we give out is, it's called a challenge coin. A challenge coin is a symbol, I guess you can say, in the law enforcement community that it means a lot. It means that you're going above and beyond, and you're really trying to work hard at that type of thing. So during that moment in time, as I usually do as I do shoot from the hip, I thought to myself, hey, I'm going to give this kid a challenge coin for what he did. So I did that, and it kind of turned into this Outstanding Citizenship Award. And we've also given out one to a student at the high school. The future for CCSPD, I hope the 3 of us stay together for a long period of time, because I really don't want to have to keep go through the whole hiring process again. I think I do have 2 guys that are going to stick with us for a long period of time, and building a relationship. So that's the key, along with keeping our kids safe. And I recently got interviewed by WSBT, and even though it kind of sounded like a loaded question at the time, the interviewer asked me about, there's people out there that don't believe that the police should be in schools. And our PR person was standing behind her, and she froze. She's like, oh, what was he gonna say? And I thought about it, and it's really simple. If everybody has the right to their own opinion, absolutely. That's why we live in America. But I'm telling you what, if anybody of those people that don't believe that police should be in schools, come spend a day with me. Come spend 1 hour, come spend 2 hours with me at an elementary school. And if you still don't believe that police belong in schools, I don't know, I guess it's still your opinion. I appreciate you letting me come by and listening to my informal speech and my first formal public speech. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions for us?
Absolutely. Yes, go ahead.
Well, most of us never thought about school police forces until the tragedy involving Texas. Right. The Texas, the police force in Uvalde, the school police force, appeared to be drastically undertrained and inexperienced for the tragedy that they faced, which is increasingly more common now, which is mass shootings. God forbid that should ever happen in one of our schools, but are you guys prepared, and how are you prepared?
Chief, could you come back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I was gonna start moving. We think it's still recording you.
Oh.
We'll get this on there, so.
Oh, okay. Great question. Thank you for that question. Yes, we are prepared. And I have been involved in 3 officer-involved shootings during my time in South Bend. And I have selected the officers that work with me hand in hand. That was my #1 priority, is to pick 2 officers, whoever they might be, that I know that are ready for the challenge that might lay ahead if those types of situations happen.
we had a in NASRO conference this last summer, and the entire conference was asking the SROs and the police officers in the crowd, are you ready for those challenges? And I can tell you, as I'm standing here as chief of police for Concord Schools, we are ready and we've already prepared. We're always preparing, we're always training. And absolutely, we are ready to take on whatever challenge might come about if there is an active shooter in one of my schools. Yes, sir.
I don't recall where it was, but just over last week, there was the video going around where the police officer was breaking up a fight at school. And like, another kid came in and bear hugged him, threw him to the officer to the ground and started getting into a scuffle.
Is it the Concord?
No, this is on national.
Oh, okay. I think I recall what you're talking about.
It's over like the last week,
Mhm.
this happened, and I'm just curious how, because sometimes like in some of these bigger schools, but again, it's not always the big schools that have the same issues.
Mhm.
You're breaking up a fight, but there's other members. How did that discussion go with you and your officers when something like that happens? Because obviously the initial is to go in and try to break it up, but you also got to be concerned about the surroundings.
Absolutely. And I've told every high school student in the building and junior high, if you decide to engage in any type of fighting like that in one of our schools, there's a full error could neutralize one of those types of fights without using any type of tasers or anything like that. Neutralize a fight like that rather quickly, and then any student that's engaged in that will be probably brought to JDC for disorderly conduct. Because at that point, my number one priority is the safety of the kids in that school and the staff in that school. And any kid that decides to engage in that type of activity that puts either those two categories in jeopardy of getting hurt, we're going to stop the fight as quickly as we can. And then those kids that took part in that activity will be going to JDC.
You might want to look that up if you haven't seen, because I mean, I don't know how it's shared across the country, but it went viral and I happen to see it. And basically,
right, or in the schools right now, but I can tell you for a fact in South Bend, it's rampant because fentanyl is used it's used in other drugs such as cocaine, meth, as a cutting agent, and it's going to get. I don't want to sound like a downer, but it's probably going to get worse than it is going to get better because it is a very dangerous drug. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
you talked about the fact that your two predecessors left to go to big companies here. Raises the question in my mind about how your salary schedule compares with local schedules.
Right.
Yours in South Bend.
Good question. I'm not gonna mince words here. Both Al Delinsky and myself, we've already retired from South Bend, and we were personally, I was looking to stay in law enforcement, and that's how I was all before I found Concord. I was looking at Notre Dame and some of the other places that retired police officers go to. Thank goodness I found this place because I absolutely love it. And every retired officer has their own story. And I know since we have the 3 officers within our police department, we have take-home cars. That's a huge plus when it comes to police officers and being able to just drive them back and forth to work. So that was a huge plus. But compensation wise, it just depends on the officer. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Since I seem to know. Remember when they got on, quite see your dad, 'cause his dad was like that when I got him. Back in 1986. He was just, yeah, that's wrong. But I can say that, first of all, I'm proud of you. Same thing with South Beach. Thank you. I'm scheduled a meeting to meet with you, but this is a good young man, good officer, who's got good knowledge. And I just want to say to Concord, they did great support you. Oh, yes, they do. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I can't say enough about Concord and the administration, Dan Funston there. They really believe in keeping the kids safe, and it just shows to be a front runner, to be a leader in school policing. It speaks volumes to have the kind of resources that we have and the amount of officers we have available to be full-time in our school. It's a great feeling to have that type of support. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. The parents? Well, again, we can't win over everyone. But, my dad said before I even became a policeman, if you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't know how to communicate, then you better not go be a policeman. So I believe in communication and speaking the truth and not mincing words and being as honest and as open as I can. The parents that I come across that, if they're a student that did something bad at school or what have you, and are upset with us in whatever way, it's something that I have already dealt with at South Bend in my years there and being a supervisor. So, but I can tell you the majority of the parents in the corporation, in the school district, they really appreciate us. There's a lot of kind words that come from them and support. So majority of them, absolutely. And the ones that aren't really supportive of it, and I haven't talked to them yet, and they haven't seen my smiling face yet. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how many incidents are you responding to, maybe on a daily or weekly basis? And of those incidents, how many of them go to counseling or go to enforcement?
Great
Sort of
question.
alluded to, you're trying to counsel or educate.
Right, absolutely.
Sometimes they're also enforcing. So how often are you getting called? And of those calls, how often is it just a counseling education piece?
Right.
How often is it?
Right. We have so many tools in place. And like, for instance, since 2022 started last year, we're currently at case or almost at South Bend. We're currently at 101 criminal cases, but that doesn't mean that all kids committed some type of huge heinous criminal act. That can be, like I mentioned before, the vaping is just out of control. And now with the vaping, now we come THC vaping, which is now coming into our schools. So, there's that, there's the fights and stuff like that. So on a day-to-day basis, we a pretty high percentage of us being in contact with a student for whatever reason. But it doesn't have to necessarily mean that it's a criminal investigation or such. Even if it's a school disciplinary action, we have such a close working relationship with the administrators in each building. And Officer Dolinsky and Officer Schumann are in those buildings 24/7. I'm the only one that kind of goes around to play basketball and football with the little ones. And then if they need help, I'm always there for them. But it's kind of a high percentage of us coming into contact with a student, low percentage when it comes to a criminal type. That answer your question? Well, then like you said, with the 3 pillars, I always want to be a counselor. I always want to be an educator.